How are you all doing this morning? Goal achievers. Hope you're doing well. So today, I'm just going to have a little chat about why you have to be careful when it comes to feeling like you have to conform to maybe society and what others want. And this might be a touchy subject because the safest thing to do and the easiest thing to do is conform. Keep your head below the parapet. Don't draw too much attention to yourself. And that is, when you're making a new direction in life and you're making some big changes, and I think it is wise sometimes to keep it under the hat. Just keep quiet about it and just quietly, until you get to a certain point. But there comes a time where you have to reveal your plans to the world, and if you're doing something a little bit different, you've got you want to take a different path than those around you, and then all of a sudden you reveal it one day, you might get a bit of backlash. In fact, you probably will. And I've talked about this a few times. People around you might find it uncomfortable because they're not used to it. Something new. And it doesn't matter what that is, whether, it can be any big change that you've decided to do for yourself. And yeah, when you reveal it, you're going to get a bit of backlash from people. And that's fine. Because even if you've been working away quietly in the background and then you reveal all, eventually you're going to have to reveal it. If you want to get somewhere, because and here's the thing, right? Think about pressures from outside, whether that's family, society, peers. People want to keep, you're expected to be kept in a box, a known box that people understand, and that's fine. But if you're not happy with that box and you want to sort of break out and do something different, then of course, you've got to reveal all about your plans eventually. Like I say, even if you've been working away quietly in the background, and then all of a sudden you reveal those plans, then people will find out, and some people will be uncomfortable. And I think that's okay. I've done a couple of videos, if you look in my library, on this. One was fear of being player hated. So this is like, if you get some success. That was aimed at dating, but it applies to everything. So if you get some success and then you fear of being judged, because you will, you will get judged. The minute you do something new, a little bit different to everyone around you that they're not used to, as soon as you stick your head above the parapet, two things happen. Some people will love it, some people will hate it, right? Whereas if you just sort of coast along in life and stay in your lane, stay in your lane's a good thing, but I mean, like, stay in a box, a defined box that maybe society's had for you, or your parents have had for you. If you stay in that box and you play it safe just because you want to just conform, playing it safe, then you'll get no drama, but you'll also get nowhere, you know what I mean? And you won't, I don't think you're really living honestly there either. It's always better to make sure that plan's yours. Make sure you choose that plan. Live honestly. And then also, have no fear, And the thing is, if you have created a plan for yourself, a goal, and you're working towards it, then you shouldn't have any fears, because you're in charge, aren't you? You've taken action, you're in charge of your life. So yeah, when it comes to worrying about conforming to societal pressures, it is tough, but it's like a discipline that you've got to learn. If you want to make some change, And there's all sorts of examples of this. Maybe like there's some people that maybe come from a certain, let's call it a working class background, where it's not normal for people to do the things that you're choosing to do. And you'll get little snide comments and little bits and pieces like this, maybe from your family as well. I know someone that like they were the first person in their family to go to university, and they got a bit of grief for that. And it's like, what the hell? But this is how it works, because some people, most, the people in your life, they're not, I don't think anyone's trying to do it out of spite. It can kind of make people feel uncomfortable, because sometimes if you do something, you pop your head above the parapet. Hi, Boris, you all right? You can eventually, you start exposing other people, and even if it's family sometimes, I had it with a friend, like a ex-girlfriend whose mother got uncomfortable with her getting success, because she was doing quite well, and her mother felt uncomfortable around her all of a sudden, because that wasn't where they came from. Yes, very good, thank you. And things like this. So your family can even feel uncomfortable, because secretly it's kind of, if you've come from that, humble beginnings, and you're trying to make your dent in the world, and you're starting to make some moves and rise up. Initially, it can make your family feel a little bit, I don't want to say inadequate, but it just exposes everything, like the gap between you trying to achieve and other people. So you've got to accept that. It's not malicious, it's just you make people feel uncomfortable. And sometimes, if you're doing something totally out of the ordinary, that's a little bit new, then of course, if you're doing something totally unknown and crazy to your friend group and your environment, then of course people will talk about you, and you'll just get little, even friend groups will just be throwing little comments in. You've kind of got to rise above it, you know what I mean? Because the amount of times where I've done stuff in my life, like, and people secretly are like, oh, I wonder if he fails and all that, and it's like, well, whatever, you only fail if you give up, if you ask me. Giving up, I mean, giving up to conform. I've always thought that if you're not happy with that life that society, mainstream society, is planned for you, which I've never been, if you're not happy with that, then you have to accept that you're going to take a different path and be a bit different. And I always find that, like, the people that are a little bit different are always the most interesting. You find different weirdos. Like, I like quirky people that try new things. And I think it's good to try and, I think it's good to be that person that wants to try new things and not worry about fitting in at all. You don't need to fit into anything. I was listening to, a really good channel I listen to is actualize.org. Leo, he's like a philosopher, and he did a really good video on it where he was explaining that almost like the path to self-improvement can, in many cases, be very lonely, right? And so lonely that, like, even just being different and deciding that path, you will feel lonely, because you won't be backed by everyone. And you always feel, even though there'll be some people that are really sort of in your corner and championing you, and you will find that you'll even get new friends that are on a similar journey to you, that you find that are really backing you. But then all your old friends, it's like they might be backing you, but they don't really show support, and it feels very lonely. And You know, this is also something that I've discussed with Roberto, my meditation coach. That what Roberto says is, like, he's talking about like really enlightened people, right? And the more enlightened you get, you'd think it'd be easier, but no, it gets harder. You feel even more. It's like waking up and really understanding the world. You know, you might have heard of the term red pill, came from like the Matrix movie, and people, like a lot of the red pill thing, people like associate it with dating, but there is red pill dating, but just red pill generally means just seeing the world for how it is. So the whole Matrix concept is like you woke up, right? And in the movie The Matrix, you know, it's like you've got, is he Cypher, the guy that rats them out and goes back into the Matrix? Because he basically takes the easy route, because he says ignorance is bliss, right? And he just caves in because he handling the truth, the brutal truth about the world, was too difficult for him. You know, eating that shit soup, that gloop that they're eating, he'd rather eat the fake steak and have him told a bunch of lies about the world and, you know, fed a load of crap, was easier to be, you know, so the easy route is not the self-improvement route. That the easy route is to conform. That's the analogy I'm trying to make here, right? The easy route is to just conform with the masses, go and get a fucking 9 to 5, get plugged in, get the mortgage, you know, get the car on tick, all that stuff, and just plug yourself in, where you're too scared to even stick your head above the parapet through fear of losing your job. That's the easy route. The hard route is to say, no, I don't want that. Sod this. I'm going to take action, go for it myself, and just crack on and forge my own life. And if you decide that path, it's very lonely, you know. Like Roberto says, you know, the path to enlightenment is a lonely path. The higher up you go, the harder it gets, because you kind of know more. And it's like this with everything. Like, once you know more about life, it gets harder because, well, your results get better, but it feels like it's harder. And that's just because you're now conscious. You can see consciously all the problems in life. Consciously see the reality, which previously you were ignorant to, you were unconscious to. So that's why it feels like it's harder. But what you'll notice is your results get better. And it's like anything in life, you know. Taking the hard path will always get you better results, but it's almost like it's all hard. Ignorance and having a mediocre existence for just following the herd is not a good life. You know, not looking after your health, like eating shit and pizzas and biscuits and chocolate and ice cream, might seem very easy, but eventually you'll get health problems. So which is the best hard? You know, the best hard is controlling those cravings, sorting your diet out. And it's the same with everything. The path to self-improvement is very lonely and hard, but you will get better results. And I think this is why it's best never to conform. And I don't mean being a complete rebel. I mean, whatever you do, make sure it's your goal, what you're working towards. You're not conforming to what others would like you to do, whether that's society, family. You know, just make sure they're your goals. And you know what? If your goals happen to be in alignment with your local environment and your family, even better. And the other thing is, even if they're not, right, eventually what happens, they might, you might get a bit of pushback, but once you get going, and I've seen this myself, Like once you get going, you start, the best way is to demonstrate results. Now, it could take years, right? You'll be working away and people go, oh, you're never going to, I remember when I was doing, you know, my business, it was like, oh, why are you doing that? There's like massive, you're never going to compete and all that stuff. And yeah, that were true for many years, you know what I mean? Well, you're sort of working it out and it's hard, you've got to work hard. But you've kind of got to ignore that and keep going. You know, one of the best people to explain about this is Schwarzenegger. If you listen, I've read his books, and if you listen to his mentality on it, he says, like, ignore the naysayers. Right. Now, you do. And but you've got to make sure that you're doing that with a defined plan. You're not just winging it. It's not just, you know, it's like the difference between, um, you know, goals without a plan are literally just a dream. You know, they're just a pipe dream. So you need a plan. And that's why, you know, I always talk about working on, create some goals, always work on 3 things a day. What are the top 3 things that I need to do today? Right? And I'll say, you might always do like 10, 20 things. Make sure, let's say, you know, you've got a full day, you're working 8, 10 hours. Make sure you do them 3 things no matter what, consistently every day, working towards your goals. Might only take you an hour. Everything else, the rest of the day, the other 8, 9, 7, 8, 9 hours, whatever, they can be just like, it doesn't matter. Make sure you do those 3 things that are working towards your goals. So it's okay to say, as Schwarzenegger says, ignore the naysayers if you have a really credible plan that you're working towards. Right? And then you can ignore them, because whilst it may take years for you to get your success, if you're working towards a plan that's defined and you know your objectives and you know how to measure it, you know, I use SMART goals, you know. You ever heard of that? It's like in the journal. Use the term SMART goals, which is an acronym for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. And this is the difference as well. When you create a goal, you need to use something like SMART. So I've got this in the journal, right? If your goals are not specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound, again, they're just a dream, right? And this is how you do it. If you're going to go against the herd and create your own life, that lonely path to self-improvement, it is lonely, right? And people be telling you don't do it or whatever because they want to keep you in your box. You've got to do it like this. Your goals need to be specific. And, you know, an example of that, I've got this in here. So I've got a great example in the journal here now. Specific goal, make 50k in sales in 6 months. That's very specific, right? It's an amount that you can measure. So it's measurable. It's also achievable. This is an example, right? It's also achievable, right? If you've got the skills, it's achievable. You know you can do that. And that'll just be a start. It's also relevant to you because you might be selling a product. And then it's time bound. You need it in 6 months, right? And then you create a plan. So on the plan here, I've got first task, create a compelling offer, right? You need an offer. Like, what is that offer that you're selling? The next item, create a website that is SEO optimized, if you know that, search engine optimization, right? It's SEO optimized, a website, it's going to drive traffic. You might, and then the next one's to send an email campaign. This is just an example, you know. I'm not giving you a business plan. I can, if you need me to, just email me. Then you got like book appointments with 30 prospects, close 5 prospects at 10k each. There you go, right? So that is an example of a SMART goal. If you were to do that and work like that with a solid plan, and then each day you're doing 3 small things a day towards that plan, then you can ignore society, because you've almost got, it is lonely because you're doing this thing and everyone's saying, oh, we don't like it and all that, and your family's probably giving you grief, you should keep your job and all the rest of it. They're just scared, right? But you're in control because you've got a plan and you're confident in your ability, right? So yeah, I think being a bit different, I mean, everyone that's ever achieved anything has done something different, haven't they? Right? So why you should think they should have to conform? Because if you're conforming to your family or societal pressures, right? They're just trying to keep you in a box, right? The good test here is, the reason why you want to make that change is because you're not happy with being in that flipping box that you know, that role that you've been given. And one test I would always say is, I'd never take judgment from anyone that doesn't have the life that I want. So you get all these criticisms from people that know you and stuff, and I just look at it, well, are you living the life that I want? Because when you find someone that has achieved what you want to achieve, what you'll find is they won't criticize you. I think they're the people that are in your corner and giving you, go on, get it done. Yeah, they're supportive. It's always the people that are not supportive, right? That have not, they probably don't have the life that you want, usually. So that's another reason why you should ignore them. But anyway, I've got to shoot. Hope you enjoyed this short video. Thank you for watching. Go and achieve your goals, right? And hit me up if you have any messages. And see you all next time.